Sobel.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Erith and Thamesmead, for skewing what's been such a rich debate. Celebrating and raising awareness of black history through Black History Month has been shown to be urgently necessary in the light of the growing anger of our black community expressed through Black Lives Matter and how the government is approaching our own history on slavery and reparations. We need the government to be an honest broker in our history, neither attempt to whitewash history or belittle the oppression of black communities in the Americas or Africa. We are unfortunately seeing the opposite in our cultural institutions. The Museum of the Home, formerly the Jeffrey Museum in Hackney, is named after Sir Robert Jeffrey, a slave trader. The museum has a statue of Jeffrey, and after consultation there was a very strong feeling the statue should be removed. The decision should be one entirely made by the museum, who have curatorial freedom and a responsibility to listen to the local community. However, the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport decided to intervene in the decision by writing to all museums with arm's length bodies arrangements. The letter did seem particularly aimed at the Museum of the Home and was quite extraordinary in its tone and overreach. The Secretary of State said in the letter, "Statues and other historical objects were created by generations with different perspectives and understandings of right and wrong." I'm not sure there are many people who see the enslavement of others as a matter of perspective or understanding of right and wrong. The Secretary of State went on to say, "It is for this reason that the government does not support the removal of statues or other similar objects." Then comes the implied threat to funding. As set out in your management agreements, I'd expect arm's-length bodies' approach to the issues of contested heritage to be consistent with the government's position. This is especially important as we enter a challenging comprehensive spending review, which all government spending will be scrutinised. At the Select Committee, the Museum Director, Sonia Solikari, said the letter was something the board took very seriously. The DCMS is a major stakeholder for us, so we took that on board in the decision-making process. Local people in Hackney were appalled. I spoke to Jermaine Jackman today, who is chair of the Hackney Young Futures Commission. He told me, when the statue of Edward Colston in Bristol was pulled down, the government called the protest out for not allowing the democratic process. However, Hackney allowed and followed a democratic process consulting the local community, which is overwhelming in favour of having it removed. However, the government put pressure on the board and ignored the will of the people. Jermaine is correct, and DCMS are moving the goalposts, and to whose detriment? The Museums Association, in their statement, put it best. The letter is the latest in a series of interventions from the Culture Secretary that has led to fears the government is undermining the sector's independence. Not my words, theirs. I would also like to talk about an episode of black history that sadly is rarely taught in our academic institutions or schools, and that is the oppression and genocide of the West Papuans under Indonesian occupation. As chair of the West Papuan APBG, it's incumbent on me to add their struggle to those of so many black and indigenous ones around the world. This year, following the death of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, the West Papuans found inspiration to link their own struggle with them, under the slogan, Papuan Lives Matter. The campaign has shed light on Indonesia's institutional racism against West Papuans. For instance, in August 2019, Papuan students were attacked in Indonesia's second largest city and called monkeys. The police then rounded up the students, firing tear gas into their dormitory. In 2006, in Jayapura, everyone who had dreadlocks was arrested and their hair was cut. This continued for a fortnight. The Jakarta Post last year discussed one Papuan living in Yogyakarta and said not unusual for landlords to express their approval of rent applications by phone, only to reject them once they found out where they were from. These and many other instances of racism, I'm sure, chime with many of my colleagues in the chamber. And how many black communities in the UK were treated in the past? West Papuans leaders have sought political asylum around the world, including Benny Wender, the chair of the United Liberation Movement for West Papua. He's a brilliant exponent for his people and needs to be platformed much more here in the UK where he lives, so light can be shone on what's happening to West Papuan people. I'd like to finally thank my honourable friend, the member for Erith and Thamesmead, for securing this opportunity, so I can add my voice to the many black colleagues in the chamber who I'm honoured to serve alongside. Thank you.